Hey, Kevin here with Action FX. I'm going to have a little chat with my man Ken on risk management and how you can automate the process in your Forex trading. Stay tuned. So with the risk, you've like we've been talking about trading for a number of years now, and obviously I'm a big proponent of keeping your risk low and controlled as it relates to your account balance. So have you found using the executor helpful?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the executor is, I would say, the best value ever when it comes to managing risk and being able to, like right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 pairs
Right.
open flow right now, and using the order executor, every pair is still managed accordingly to proper risk.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm still running, like, it's a small leverage account, so 1 to 200% or
Mm-hmm.
1 to 200 margin. So
Right.
I'm still at 400, 500% margin, which is another way I manage risk. Because if I'm running 100% margin, I know I'm over leveraging.
Of course.
You
Yeah,
know,
for
that's
sure.
like so that's why, like, some of the brokers, if I had like a broker offering 1,000 to 1 leverage, it
Uh-huh.
would look like I have 2,000% risk on, when actually I could be over leveraging.
Right.
Is it like gives you illusion that, oh, you have so much leverage you can do. Oh no, not really. They're trying to trick you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's you still have to control it. You can't
Yeah,
just go wild. Well, you can, but it's a pretty good way to blow up an account.
yeah.
Yeah.
I could easily put, like, on a 1 to 1,000% or 500 account, I could put like some standards on, and it would show like 4 to 500% leverage.
Mm, yeah.
But with the way I trade, it would be over leveraging, even though the illusion of so much margin available is not really true according to my account balance.
Right, of course. Yeah. And it just saves you running to another website to do the or calculate it in your head. Like, I mean, a lot of people, they've said, okay, well, what's the point of it? Because I just use the same lot size every time on my trades, and I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. It works if your stop loss is the exact same number of pips away every time, but that's unrealistic and not you're not adapting to the market conditions, right? Sometimes you'll have if you're really getting super accurate, you can have a smaller stop loss, 15, 20 pips or something. And then sometimes you'll have a larger one in
Mm-hmm.
that you just, obviously you can't run the same standard, like a normal standardized lot size
Yeah.
when your stop loss is in varying distances from your entry point, right?
Oh yeah.
I'll
Like
click on there and show them what it looks like.
like my favorite part about this is, like, initially on NZD USD,
Yeah.
right? I saw, I think, a couple of weeks ago I was buying at this area,
Uh-huh.
right? But I had pretty big stop loss, so, like, my stop loss is about 50 pips,
Right.
right? Or more. So I had this position like a couple of weeks ago, and it made some nice gains.
Mm-hmm.
But then it started coming down. I closed 50%. I closed all of the position due to patience, but it basically calculated everything I needed according
Right.
to my plan. Um, but then the market came back down again, and instead of, like, getting emotional with my stop loss that it could break or whatever, I basically just looked at the monthly or the weekly time frame,
Uh-huh.
and I saw, okay, we have this level here, and this level caused a massive rally.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So basically, using this, it allows me to, like 50 pip stop loss. Okay, I can see that it could get taken out if I put 50 pip stop loss.
Mm-hmm.
But with the executor, I was able to just and move it below.
Right. It's just such an easy way to visualize what your trade actually is going to look like
Exactly.
prior to executing the trade.
Yeah. In this way, it makes it so much less emotional because now I know exactly how much I'm risking right here. I
Mm-hmm.
know, okay, I'll lose $32 if my stop loss is hit. That's 164 pips. At
Yeah.
this level, there is a high, for me, it's a high probability that it is not gonna drop 164 pips.
Mm-hmm.
And in like most retail traders don't have 60 pip stop loss. You
Right.
know, they
Yeah.
have 30, 20 pip. You know, if you're trying to swing this to go long, there's no way you're gonna be able to hold 20 pip stop
Mm-hmm.
loss.
No,
But
not
the
normally.
executor allows me to be able to swing long term, you know,
Mm-hmm.
on this pair NZD USD.
Yeah.
Currently, I have partials broke even. Um, so this position here, I really don't care about it, you know, and knowing that I can have this kind of position and trade a weekly chart, like I have no emotion with clicking this button right here, you know,
Exactly. You can
like
just do it and not have
but
fear.
and that's it. You know, it makes trading so much simpler and easier. You know,
Yeah,
like
I really believe like risk management is so high on the priority list, and I've seen so many people who are really quite good traders, and when I say good traders, I mean in being able to pick entry points and exit points. But if they don't have their risk standardized as a percentage of their account balance, I've seen guys who are literally up pips for the month, but they're down dollars because their risk is not standardized, right? It's not a percentage of their account. And so like on your wins, maybe you're winning, let's say 1 or 2%, but your risk is higher on the next couple of trades. So you've got a couple wins under your belt, but then they get wiped out by a trade that where you didn't control the risk the same way. So you can be excellent at picking entries and exits, but if you don't control that risk and manage it correctly, it doesn't matter. You can blow accounts, winning more than you lose. If
yeah, exactly. Like, but as you know, and as you've seen how I trade, I like to build a position,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And the only way you can do it properly is with this tool right here. You
Yeah,
know, because like now I'm risking below 1% of account balance. You know,
yeah.
um, because that's where I have it set in the parameters,
Hmm.
which or it can be 1%, but based on account balance, the larger stop loss will decrease as shown here will decrease my like right now 0.07 lots. The more I decrease it, it changes the lot size accordingly. So I can basically just like in an all-out shootout war, you know, I could just start shooting, you know, I
Uh-huh.
could shoot at the market without having any fear, and basically the soldier with no fear is most likely going to win. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah, for sure. And that way too, let's say if you're stacking positions, you can split, say you want a total of, one, let's just say 2% risk on one trade idea. And if you're stacking trades, then you could risk 0.5% per trade if you're going to be stacking four, let's say. And then you're not exceeding that 2% risk value, right? So that's kind of a cool way to think about it as well. You got the
Oh yeah, the
inputs up
and,
there.
oh yeah,
I love,
like
what, one of my favorite things about it actually is being able to visualize where your profit target is as well. Because sometimes being able just to see that on the chart you can kind of go, oh man, there's a lot of traffic, or maybe there's some resistance in the way, but long before your take profit, your profit target. So you might want to reevaluate where that's sitting. If you've got a sort of 3-to-1 plotted out on the chart, you can go, oh well, maybe that's not going to be the trade that I want to take because there's just way too much resistance in the way, right?
Correct.
Mhm.
The other, because as we know, but I guess we can show other people.
Yeah.
It can like all of it is adjustable.
Right.
I can
Yeah.
put I can put my usually I like to put 100 pip stop loss.
Hmm.
So I can put 100 pip stop loss and look for a higher reward. If I
Hmm.
want to, it manages that accordingly. Fixed lot size can be adjusted. Right now it's risking 1% of account balance, which can be changed, which is awesome. And,
Yeah.
like
I always run it
equity.
on. Yeah, that's kind of a cool one. I personally always run it off of balance, but yeah,
uh,
if you have a huge amount of positions, you might want to look at equity too, right?
yeah, because I think equity with the way I trade can be better
Yeah,
because if I'm in a drawdown, then that means my balance, if all trades lose, is actually lower.
exactly.
So then because if I'm in a drawdown, then I could be over leveraging if I decide to place more positions at a drawdown if I'm
Hmm.
using balance because technically my balance is already below balance.
Right. If you were to close, yeah, for sure. It's
Exactly.
it's a safer way to do it if you're in drawdown. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. And then free margin, we have free margin. But I'm also the
Do you
cool.
use the break even? The auto
Uh,
break even?
yeah. The auto break even is set. Here it is. Auto break even. Where is it? Uh, Let me go.
Scroll down a bit. There you go.
Okay. Break even true. So I
Yeah,
do
that's so
that.
the button's on there. So when
Yeah.
okay, cool, yeah. So you got it. So when price hits 0.8 R, so just
Yeah.
yeah, and that's the way it was designed, right? It's like I've seen a
Mhm.
lot of break evens or trailing stops that aren't relative to the trade you're in, right? They're more
Correct.
like how X number of pips in
Mhm.
profit, then move your stop loss to X number of pips up,
Yes.
in profit or what have you. But this is all relative to the particular trade, which is kind of neat,
Correct.
right?
Which this part is, I guess, the number two or number one top setting here because many times the trade can go in well into profit while you're not looking at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's going into profit while you're not looking at it, it's hard to manage the trade if you're not looking at it.
Hmm.
But the order executor will manage the trade for you, which is by far the only tool I've ever seen this easy to manage your trade and not complicated at all.
Hmm.
You know, plus in
Keep it
terms of
simple.
swing trading, yeah. And in terms of swing trading, I know my 0.1 or basically it's almost a 1R. 1R for freaking 100 pip stop loss. That means I'll be by the time it breaks even, I'll be afloat 100 pips
Right.
close, which is a decent amount. You
Exactly.
know,
It's a real nice amount to have it
yeah,
pop up above there.
yeah. And if it breaks even at 100 pips, it's highly unlikely it's gonna drop 100 pips
Hmm.
within the next day. That means it's like perfect swing trade and easy to manage for me.
That's right.
But then we also have the setting, right? The limit setting,
Yeah.
right? What do we do? We click this. So now we have the trend line setting, which is a tool that like none has.
Nobody has that. No.
Nobody
Like
has.
you can there's obviously other things that have like a pending, but nothing that trend line pending.
Yeah, like nobody has a trend line pending that I know of.
No.
um,
So yeah, if you drag, there you go. You drag that entry line on an angle, and then you can drag your stop loss around, and then once you hit execute, it just pops those right on the line on the chart.
exactly.
And
So
when price crosses that yellow line, it'll enter your trade and set your stop and top profit target.
yeah, exactly. Like I can see, I kind of drew it. How I would probably trade. this, right, as a
Mhm.
buy stop. So if it price goes up here, it's gonna activate as a buy stop.
Right. Yeah.
If I put my trend line lower like so, right, that means I could be expecting some drawdown, and I could actually have it execute automatically with a good stop loss as a buy limit,
Yeah.
which I may do later, and just, with risk already in there, I can actually do that. I can. It's very simple, which I haven't seen any tool that can do this.
No, that's a super unique feature. And then of course it's got the horizontal line trend line as well too, which is just your typical um, normal trend line, or sorry, normal pending orders, but
Exactly.
just easier to place than within MT4.
Oh yeah. Like you don't have to go into your orders, type the number you want to execute at, do all this other nonsense, and you don't have to think about buy stop or buy limit.
Yeah,
It's like,
just
do you want to
plug
buy
it in.
it here? Yes. Okay. Put your trend line here and then click execute, and
Yeah,
it's gonna activate once it goes, like, it shoots up.
yeah.
You know?
Just keeps it simple, keeps it easy. Honestly, this tool for me turned trading around. It was just such an easier way to control risk, and then started getting crazy with all the extra features. But yeah, like the basic foundation of it is just to standardize your risk and automate that process in a visual way, so you can actually see everything on the chart and just make it easy to use.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying using it.
Oh yeah, it's perfect. Like, once people finally see how to manage risk, their trading will become so much more easier and stress free, and they
Yeah.
will be like looking at the charts every tick, because that is how you lose.
Yeah, well, exactly. Watch pot never boils. And
Oh,
yeah, you can get caught up in 5 pip moves if you're sitting there staring at your P&L.
mhm.
It's pretty easy to get wigged out if it's like, oh, minus $500, and it's like, oh, I'm not even close to risk. That's not even close to your stop loss yet. But if you see those dollar figures, you're like, man, that was, I could have some fun with $500. But
Yeah, exactly. Like, if you look at this trade right here, right?
yeah,
There is no way, like when people see me trade, they're like, "Oh, like, how the hell do you put that many positions?
hmm,
Like, are you using an expert advisor robot?" I'm like, "No, I'm not. This
yeah,
is basically my type of trading,
right,
position trading, which um it's a little bit difficult to understand how I trade like this,
hmm,
but the order executor actually makes it easier for me, because it's very simple to manage risk,
yeah,
because I can position accordingly on what I see. Like, if this whole area is my sell zone, I can place as many positions as I want in this sell zone and not have to worry about, I'll blow my account if this hits.
right. Because
You know
yeah,
what I
'cause you've
mean?
split
If
up.
it hits, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you just split it amongst each position, which is perfect.
Exactly. That's how, like, people always look at pip count. They're like, oh, like how do you, like, they judge pip count too much
Yeah,
and not
absolutely.
growing your account a percentage value.
Yeah.
And like, I can load up FX book and it will show for the month I gained 5,000 pips.
Hmm.
And but the question is, how did your account balance grow?
Yes,
It is at the end of
exactly.
the day. I can brag all I want about pip count, etc. I can trade just to gain pip count. It's
Uh-huh.
very simple. But did the account grow? That's risk management, and that's what the order executor will do. You
Yeah, and
know?
once you start thinking in that fashion and getting away from the pip count and getting into the percentages, that's I think that's a huge turning point for people. Once they start realizing that, then you can actually really progress as a trader and start becoming way more consistently profitable in managing the losses. Like I was actually listening to some hedge fund trader, and he described himself as a professional loser because
Mm.
he's like, you can enter trades, but if you aren't professional about how you lose, you're never going to make it. as a trader, because you have to be professional about those losses. And what he meant by that was essentially just controlling them and managing them and having everything predetermined. So you're not like having these outlandish equity spikes and equity drawdowns because of like positions that aren't sized correctly. So yeah, be a professional loser. As funny as that sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. I'm going to just stop recording here. I think that shows
Perfect.
everybody how this little tool of ours works.